Police say 19-year-old Destiny Scott got into a fight with the young girl and repeatedly slammed her head into the playground slide, making her bleed and concussing her.
You know, as I've gotten older, and some would say wiser, I realized that I'm not only somebody who gets angry about vicious acts of criminality that happen in this country that don't seem to make the national spotlight, but I'm also somebody who gets angry at terrible descriptions of this crime, inaccurate descriptions of this crime, and a perfect example is the clip that I opened this video with. We just heard that police said that this incident was the result of a fight between a 19-year-old, 270-pound woman and an 11-year-old girl on a slide at a park near the 11-year-old girl's house. And I just want to make something clear to everybody out there in the audience, in case you're a bit confused by that police say description. 19-year-old, 270-pound, morbidly obese monsters with felony records or felony warrants against them prior to this encounter don't get into fights, mutual combat with 11-year-olds. They attack 11-year-olds, and in this particular story, this 19-year-old woman allegedly, and by allegedly I mean it's caught on video, but technically she's not convicted of this crime, was sitting on this 11-year-old girl, grabbing her by the hair and bashing her into the floor at the area above a slide at this children's park. Again, this is not a fight at all whatsoever, and what is absolutely horrific about this story, we're gonna find out, is not only was this obese criminal charged with only a misdemeanor, but the mother was also charged with the misdemeanor because she reacted how any parent would when an adult viciously attacks her daughter. Now, we're gonna get into this, we're gonna break this down, but before we do, I want to thank today's sponsor, Surfshark, which should be your go-to VPN for online security. Between hackers, government actors, and private corporations, everyone is trying to track your data. But the thing is, with Surfshark, you can encrypt your data between your device and the internet in order to block these nefarious actors from seeing what you're doing online. And Surfshark is the best at it. That's why PC Magazine recently ranked them #1 in terms of security compared to all other VPNs. In addition to that, Surfshark works on unlimited devices across multiple different platforms and operating systems. I have an Android phone. I edit on a Mac computer. My wife has an iPhone. She also has a PC laptop. All of them are completely covered by Surfshark, as well as Xbox, PlayStation, and a bunch of other devices and operating systems, including Amazon devices. Again, on just one subscription. In addition to that, Surfshark is a leader in the industry in that they were the first to reach over 100 countries for a VPN service, but this doesn't even get into my absolute favorite feature of the company. Recently, I discovered that my wife hadn't seen Taxi Driver. I know, uncultured, needs to get into the Scorsese movies, so I went to go boot it up on the old Netflix machine, and guess what? Unavailable on the platform, removed, or at least it was removed in this particular region. A quick location swap to the nation of Turkey, and guess what? Taxi Driver is up and running right there without me having to sign up for another streaming service or to pay to rent it. Again, all of this is included in your subscription. And speaking of that subscription, if you go to surfshark.com/AJW and use promo code AJW, you will get a free additional 4 months on whatever subscription that you buy. And considering there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, this is essentially an unbeatable deal. Protect unlimited devices with the top of the line in terms of security, get around region blocks and price discrimination via changing your location, all available with an affordable subscription and an additional extra 4 months on top of whatever subscription at surfshark.com/AJW. Use code AJW or go to the link in the pinned comment or the top of the description. Again, that is surfshark.com/AJW, code AJW, to protect your data today.
Now, today, a child brutally attacked by a woman at a public park while playing with some friends, and it was caught on camera. We have to warn you now, what you are about to see may be difficult to watch.
11-year-old Liliana Deshawn is terrified of stepping foot again on this new Canton playground that's feet away from her home. After Friday's horrific events, she doesn't want to return.
You gonna kick Ryan?
So look, obviously I have to freeze frame this video because if I didn't, then YouTube would age restrict this video, they would suppress it, and make it impossible to get the reach that it deserves. And make no mistake about it, this crime is so horrific, it deserves to be observed and commented on by the largest audience possible, because 19-year-old Destiny Scott, spelled Destiny Tany, should be a felony on its own to spell destiny that way, make no mistake about it, is on top of this 11-year-old girl, and the sounds that you could hear, because I left the audio playing, is her punching this 11-year-old girl in the face. Again, she already has an overwhelming weight advantage, 270 pounds compared to this girl who's in and around 100 pounds. She's on top of this playground up where the slide is. She is way too big to get up there, way too big to go down the slide. And I can't imagine any kind of scenario where it's appropriate for a 19-year-old woman, who looks, by the way, 45, to beat the crap out of an 11-year-old over a dispute that they would have at the top of this slide. Like, what the hell is this woman's problem? What was her issue? And again, I will remind you, she's charged with a misdemeanor. This is considered a misdemeanor assault because police say this was just a fight. Mutual combat between this nearly 300-pound morbidly obese woman and this little girl, and that's just how they're going to assess the situation.
Police say 19-year-old Destiny Scott got into a fight with the young girl and repeatedly slammed her head into the playground slide, making her bleed and concussing her.
So again, the video ends up continuing. She says something to this girl and then strikes her again, and this is obviously wildly inappropriate, and I will also point out that she is crushing this girl with the overwhelming force of her weight and punching her in the head. This is a serious assault, especially when you factor in the age and weight disparity. Now, of course, some black activists are waiting to hear whether or not she said, touch me and see what happens to this 11-year-old girl, then they'll call this self-defense. But all of us in the rational thinking world, all of us can understand just by looking at this video, just by looking at the age disparity, just by looking at the weight disparity, that this is wildly inappropriate conduct. It should be a felony assault. But for whatever reason, your local police department down in Canton, your district attorney's office, decided that this woman should be charged with a misdemeanor. And again, I will add, she apparently had a felony warrant against her for some kind of violent crime that she had committed previous. So this is obviously a seriously dangerous person. This is obviously somebody who is an ongoing threat to society. And again, what the hell was she doing at a children's playground at the top of a slide that she was too big to go down? And why the hell is she getting into a fight with an 11-year-old girl? You see, I actually said getting into a fight, but I mean attacking an 11-year-old girl.
The girl ran up behind me and she grabbed me by my hair and flung me up against the ground.
So the 11-year-old girl suffered a concussion, was beaten bloody by this woman right here. And according to the victim in this particular case, and again, it is her account, we don't know if she said something horrible to this large woman that hurt her feelings so much that she had to attack this little girl. Who knows? I'm open to all possibilities for a justification for this, but she claims that this woman came up behind her and attacked her from behind, and then is of course screaming, now what? Like, oh my god, you're so tough. You beat the crap out of an 11-year-old girl. I'm so impressed by that. And of course, it was just a vicious, brutal attack that, by the way, this woman was not repentant about. She did not apologize for it or anything of the sort.
Scott has been charged with assault and disorderly conduct. She is set to appear in court on Tuesday morning. Meanwhile, Deshawn's mother, Paige, is outraged by the incident and hopes sharing what happened to her daughter will alert other parents about letting their kids hang out at that playground.
I feel like it's ridiculous, and the police aren't providing any protection for my child, and there should definitely be a lot more done about this than a misdemeanor assault and disorderly conduct.
A misdemeanor assault and disorderly conduct. A misdemeanor assault and disorderly conduct. For those of you who don't know, misdemeanor means that you can't go to prison. You have to go to jail for at least under a year. Disorderly conduct is what you think of it. And while this was obviously disorderly behavior, the fact is, this is a serious violent assault. An 11-year-old has a concussion, was beaten bloody by this obese woman who attacked her on a playground that is definitely for 11-year-olds, not 20-year-olds that look like they're age 45. What a ridiculous decision by the prosecuting attorney to cut this woman a break. What an absurd notion. And she talks about how the police aren't doing anything to protect her child. It actually goes a little bit further than that, when we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But the fact is, that's 100% right. Misdemeanors often get pled down to absolutely nothing. So there is a chance that this woman will waddle her ass out of a courtroom onto the streets, end up at another playground, and attack an 11-year-old. Again, one of the purposes of the criminal justice system is to remove, incapacitate people who are likely to offend again. And if you are so lacking lacking in self-control that you not only eat yourself into a coma, but in addition to that, you're also attacking children on a park that is meant for children, you can't be out in society. You need to go on The Biggest Loser Prison Edition so you can get things straightened out. Now, I will also point out, I would have charged a felony just for the spelling of the name Destiny, which is clearly spelled Destany in this woman's name. And in addition to that, I would have charged an additional felony because I think she is wearing a crop top. And I'm sorry, but if you're 270 pounds and a criminal and a brutal thug that attacks 11-year-olds, you can't wear a crop top. You can't pull it off. So right there, that's already 2 felonies, 5 years apiece. That's 10 years. And that doesn't even factor in when we add in the felony assault. And this woman should be charged with felony assault because she seriously injured this little girl. I understand that this is physical force. I understand that it's punches and whatnot. But she pinned down a child, started punching her in the face, started bashing her against the playground thing. That is ridiculous and over the top and well beyond what we expect from a misdemeanor assault. We have laws that factor in age disparity, extreme youth of a victim, extreme elderliness of a victim, that can graduate a certain charge to a felony charge. Those should be applied right here. But again, I promised you this was going to get significantly worse. It is not just the piss poor job by the prosecuting attorney to charge this case appropriately. In addition to that, we also have another arrest, another person who was taken into custody by the police, and that, of course, is the victim's mother.
While Scott was being detained, she told the child's mother she hoped the little girl would die, and the mother lunged for her daughter's attacker. Mom was charged with obstructing official business and disorderly conduct.
Destiny is 270 pounds. She is 19 years old. My daughter is 110 pounds. She could have killed her.
Yeah, so allegedly, Destany Scott, when this girl was concussed and bleeding and we didn't know the extent of her injuries, by the way, she could have easily died from this. Her head is being smashed into a solid object, the top of that playground right there, is saying to the mother, I hope your daughter dies. I hope your 11-year-old girl dies from the injuries that I inflicted on her over nothing that can be explained with any kind of rational explanation. So the mother in this particular case, Paige, the hero of this story, somebody that I find to be inspiring, takes a chance. She takes a shot and lunges at this obese woman. And all I have to say is I don't endorse criminality. I just want you guys to know that. I want you to understand that. I don't endorse attacking suspects of crimes. That is not what we're about on the AJW channel, because honestly, I can't encourage you guys to go out into the world and commit crimes. That would be morally wrong. But what I will also say, and I will also add, is you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And I find it kind of absurd that they just be throwing disorderly conducts around all willy-nilly because they hit this woman with a disorderly conduct. And how crazy is that the same charge that the woman who viciously attacked your daughter was charged with gets applied to you? It is insult to your daughter's injury. It's completely ridiculous and absurd from top to bottom, but that's what went down in this particular case. We are just supposed to accept these results. We're supposed to accept this assessment as if it has any logic or reason to it, when, make no mistake about it, it absolutely does not. Look, I'm going to add, in addition to everything else, that this particular woman initiated this attack at a park. Now, we don't know if Destany has a child, if that child was playing at the park, but even if there were a dispute between the two children, this does not excuse in any way, shape, or form the viciousness of the attack that we saw. The mercilessness in which she beat, concussed, and bloodied this little girl is not put off or changed, in my opinion, by any kind of altercation with a kid that may have existed prior to this encounter, something that's not being expressed to us in the public. Now, of course, on top of that, the local news, for whatever reason, gets into the surveillance situation at this park, and I will play that clip for you right there.
A vicious attack on a child in a place where they are supposed to feel safe and play like a kid.
There is a police surveillance camera that sits here at the park, but police tell me at the time of the incident, that camera was facing the opposite direction.
Now look, if there was no footage of this and this woman was disputing whether or not she beat the crap out of this little girl, I would say, oh, well, that's really unfortunate that that surveillance camera was facing the wrong way, but we do have footage of this. We have cell phone video of this enormous woman crushing this little girl, punching her in the head, slamming her into the ground, giving her a concussion, and beating her bloody. So I don't give a damn about whether or not that surveillance camera was working. You shouldn't need that to charge a serious felony, and honestly, it is completely embarrassing that the prosecuting attorney in this case decided to go with the misdemeanor and then tack on a disorderly conduct, and the mother is facing charges. Paige is facing charges for lunging at the woman who attacked her daughter. Again, allegedly, technically everybody is innocent until proven guilty. The video could be AI. There could be another nearly identical morbidly obese woman that was in and around the area, and just coincidentally, Destany decided to tell the woman that, she attacked her daughter, that she wanted her kid to die. So we open up that possibility for everyone, but it looks like a pretty solid case, and you can at least charge it appropriately. And yes, I am the determiner of whether or not these are appropriate charges, and I deem them wildly inappropriate. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. Maybe you guys out there in the audience think that this little girl had it coming. Maybe you think that this 270-pound, 20-year-old woman had every right to go on the slide before her, and no cutsies means no cutsies. Therefore, it's justified. And if you believe that, if you're that insane, I guess let me know your insane opinion down in the comments below. But if you're rational, if you're sane, then comment on the story as is. Now, as usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social medias, support me via the support links in the description box. Thank you again to Surfshark. Till next time.